Hello, hello. Looks like I got big jaws. Look at my jaws, man. Hey, Looney. Hello, Mr. Looney's friends. I hope you're doing well. We're all, everybody anxiously waiting for Turkey Day. We were up till I think 1:30 this morning. That's a face only a mother can love. So, how's everything in your part of the world? Well, we've been having some pretty severe weather. Um, we went to a rather large casino earlier this week. Oh, I guess at the weekend. And my gosh, there's snow everywhere. And now it's been continuously falling. And all the mountain passes are full of snow. The freeways are closed in a lot of places. All the way across the Great Plains of America. I was wanting to go back to Alabama by the northern route. Oh my God. I, I understand 90 degrees Fahrenheit and having a storm. I'm from Alabama where we have some very violent storms. Let me tell you one time, Lenny, in April the 27th, 2011, this is my little part of the world I live in. On April the 27th, 2011, a series of tornadoes broke out. I believe there was, in the state of Alabama, there was 54 tornadoes during that 24-hour period of time. 34 was on the ground on the same moment. I'm talking about 34 tornadoes, winds blowing up to 275 miles per hour, people dying left and right. Several hundred people died. I'm going to tell you, we have a major thoroughfare called a U.S. Highway 278, there's Highway 78 and 278. There's one runs north and south and one runs east and west. um, well, the storm crossed Highway 78 in a little town called Cordova. Sounds so Spanish. And that little storm sucked up all these people. The tornado spun around and picked these people up and carried them about 10 or 12 miles and started scattering them over the highways, dropping them out from 30, 40,000 feet. The storms had a ceiling of 60,000 feet. I don't know how many kilometers that would be. 3.2808 feet to a meter. I don't know how many meters, not kilometers, but meters, but it was pretty high, 60,000 feet. So it started raining the bodies down out of the sky. And then when it got over pretty close to me, a little town called Sipsey, it sucked up another large quantity of human beings. And when it got to my house at 5:04 in the afternoon, my cousin lived across the river from me, not quite within eyesight because there's a little ridge between her and I. Hello, Lolly. Um, it picked her house. She had a 3-story home. Her house and 10 or 12 other houses that was on that ridge where she lived, just less than a quarter of a mile from me. It picked her 3-story brick house up and carried her house 2.5 miles from her home site and started raining down this stuff 2.5 miles away. It went right over my house. It pretty well destroyed our place. Neighbor across the road, they thought we was all dead, but we're still here. You can see. This is proof I'm indestructible. Yeah, I thought I'd get on this morning. There's so many folks of mine, friends, that they do this motor blogging, and they do this type of blogging here, and we try to be respectful to let everybody get a chance to, so you don't get over in their territory or bother them. And even though I went to bed about 1:30 and got back up before 7, right now I am in dire needs of coffee. But nope, no coffee for old Mac. Unless Lolly has a cup of coffee. Hand me a cup of coffee, Lolly. Here, thanks. Mighty fine coffee. That's Louisiana coffee with chicory. We already have some soft music playing in the background. See my cousin right over here. There's my cousin right there. He's an old wino. That's my cousin. That's Little Mac right there. That's his Big Mac. That's Little Mac right there. That's Little Mac. Old wino. That's Big Mac. I'm Little Mac. uh, well, I went to a really nice casino. I know everybody's got them in their backyard, but um, it's a new one. It's overlooking the Cascade Mountain Range, and you go out in this foyer, and they got these like 20-foot tall windows, and you go stand in the front of them, and you look out, and you got your huge waterfalls coming out of the mountains, and you got snow and all that stuff. It's a winter paradise. It's 200-foot tall trees. They're called Douglas fir. 200-foot average height probably is 125 to 175, but many of those trees will be in the 200-foot tall range. And it's beautiful. We went up there for the scenery. I gamble, but I'm not that kind of a gambler. I'm not a high roller. I gamble every time I get out in the car. You imagine an old 84-year-old guy driving 3,000 miles across America? Now, hell, that's a gamble right there. I mean, I could stroke out any minute. I could go, oh, I could go belly up. I mean, he's sure looking good for his age. Yeah, before and after paid. Kids, don't let your kids get on drugs, alcohol, tobacco, that wacky tobacco. Oh, yeah. Hey, what kind of trouble could I get into today? See, up here in the Northwest, we got Willie. We got the little moose right here. Hello, hello, boys and girls. I'm getting ready to fly from the North Pole. You don't, mooses don't fly. God almighty. Well, let me see what I can do to start my life off here a little bit better. I'm quit complaining. I ain't going to complain no more. Let me see what we got in here. Ooh. Ooh. Mm. Mm. My, that's good. Oh, let me move the. Well, the light is pretty poor here. A bucket of prunes. Oh yeah. When you get my age, prunes are a necessity. Oh yeah. That was fine. I'm looking around to see if there's anything else to eat in here. See, we got a lot of little animals here. We got little puppies everywhere. There's 4 of them in the house here. They're everywhere. Mine is in there asleep. See, I've got an Alabama dog, and my Alabama dog, he don't get up this early. Oh, I hear people moving around. The house is starting to become alive. If I get one of them heading this way. Frogzilla, Frogzilla. Oh, we was up here this morning. Let me tell you a little story. You guys want to hear a little story? I'm gonna tell it anyhow. So just might want to get you a cup of coffee and sit back and relax because old Mac. He's going to tell you a story. Now, last night my sister. She's contemplating getting a new phone, and so we're gonna go in. Hey, good morning, Motor Mom. I'm telling a little story here, so um, I catch you up to date here. We were sitting here at 1 o'clock in the morning, and we were watching some of my live broadcasts, which I don't ever get a chance to see them because I do them here. But she wanted to see one that she had not seen. One of our StreamYard. So we're in here at 1 o'clock in the morning watching one of my StreamYards from back a ways. And she said, "Are you hearing that dog barking?" I said, "It's your little dog. It's not mine. I know my dogs bark." She said, "Yeah, that is her name is Luna." She said, "Oh, that is Luna." She said, "What the hell is she doing outside?" So my sister jumps up and runs here to the back door, opens the door, and she started calling Luna, Luna. And of course, Luna, she said, "I think that damn crazy dog is in the front yard." I said, "Ain't no way the dog can get from the backyard to the front yard. It's got gates it'd have to go through." And so she come running in here and went to the front door and opened that door. She said, "Get your butt in here, Luna." And then I seen her go out the door. I go, well, she must be having a chase after the puppy. Well, she comes back in. She said, "That dog ain't in the yard." And then when she stepped back in the room, the dog was still barking. And anyhow, it dawned on me in the background while we were doing that StreamYard. The little dog was yapping here in the house. Yip, 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 yip. Here was two old people in our 80s running around here like chickens with their head cut off, trying to get the dog back in the house. And it was on the TV. It's got surround sound on that thing in there, the big TV. And the sound was all, we could hear it in here and we could hear it over there. And because the little dog was running around in the house barking. How you doing, Motorbomb? Well, I realize it's after 10 o'clock your time back there. Yeah, it's something like 10:22. And it ain't even daylight here. I'm talking about it's pitch ass black dark. At our age, it don't take much to fool us. It don't really. Shame on anybody that would try to fool us. But the sound was so realistic. This is a HP, some kind of a laptop, and must have high mic gain for it to be able to hear that little old dog yapping and all that stuff. I've got it turned down. I got background noise turned off and all that stuff, and yet it still picked up those voices. Oh, your grilled your grilled spam sandwich looked good, Moto. It really did. Oh yeah, we've had now my system at home. I've got a fairly elaborate surround sound thing for mine at home. She don't have it here. She wants it, and she's waiting until she moves back to Alabama before she gets hers. It really has that great sound projection, and I've had more than once a knock on the door. I go, oh hell, who's that? Of course, being from Alabama, first thing you do, you grab your baggie and you grab your baggie, you get it, you start eating the edibles. And come to find out it's on the TV and you don't eat your whole bag of edibles there, because in Alabama, you go to prison. Alabama, you go to prison. If you get caught in Alabama with a little joint, just a tiny little joint behind your ear, your ass is gone for a year. And then they're going to beat you and molest you and do all the stuff they do to people in prison just because you wanted a little. Anyhow, it's just difference in people. And here, every little street corner, we go through the roundabout down here just a mile from here, drop down the hill, there's the candy store. You head to the west over here, there's the candy store. You got them on every street corner. Oh, Alabama, there's a prison sentence for everything. You can ask anybody. Some will not admit this. I'm going to give you the honest God truth. I would live there. I was born there. And we lived in terror of the law. The law, see, back in the old days, the law worked for the miners, the company, the coal mining company, not the miners. And the coal mining company would say to the law, make it hard on them. Like when a strike is coming because of a labor dispute, and they would break the boys' legs with the batons. They would break their legs, break their hands, because a coal miner has to have hands to work. They would break their hands and break their fingers. And that was just, look at this. You think we're talking about something in 1923 or 1929 or 1941. No, I'm talking about where we live. I live in Coleman County. The county below me, Jefferson County, they just arrested the whole town because the town was so corrupt. It's called Brookside, Alabama. Look it up. They put the mayor in prison. They put the chief of police in prison. They had been beating people for 50, 60 years. They were loving their job. And they finally, they beat the wrong person. They beat a pregnant woman coming home from work. And she survived it. They thought they would beat her to death, but they didn't. And she happened to be a person of color. And she went to an organization in Alabama and, basically filed charges against the whole entire corrupt city of Brookside, Alabama. And they brought the town down. Good riddance. During the labor disputes, we'd have to go to Brookside and get my daddy out of jail. My daddy would be arrested for being in a crowd of more than 12. There was a law in Alabama, in Brookside, that you could not be assembled in a crowd more than 12. Good morning, degenerates, ladies and gentlemen. When they talked about the hard life of the coal mining community, it's no BS. It's real. It was really real. Coal is gone now. Coal is not king. And that's one of the reasons that town was busted and everybody got arrested over there, is because nobody cares anymore. There's nobody working the coal mines like there was then. Well, I too love American history. I've lived a part of American history, and that is no BS either. Born in 1940, there was not a big war at that time. We had a war called the War to End All Wars, called World War I. That didn't last long. Then we had World War II. And we lived through the war period of time when you had to have a card that had coupons on it where you could buy butter, you could get coffee. It was called an allotment. This is America, the land of the free, the land, the cornucopia of everything. But to sacrifice for the war, we had to have rations on gasoline, rations on rubber, rations on everything, sugar, everything. And we supported the war through our rationing, and the war was a serious conflict. And so we was a part of that American history, and we got that thing under control. And it was pretty well smoothed out by 1947. After we lit the world up, we lit one part of the world up pretty seriously. And then it all kind of cooled off for a while. And then there was a thing they called the Forgotten War. That's the Korean War. Now, you boys in Australia, your grandfathers and your fathers fought in that very same war. The people in Australia, the men of Australia and the women, they fought in the same world conflicts that we did. And y'all had the same suffering, the same ration, and y'all had all of those things that went along with it. Those that was born during that period of time. For those that was blessed to be born in 1970, I wish I would have been born in 1970. But for those that was blessed to be born in, say, 1970, 1980, 1990, they don't know of any of those things. But I'm living proof that you can survive anything. In America, not only was the hardship of living in a coal mining community, 1970, so I knew I'd strike a chord somewhere because there are going to be folks listening here that was going to be born in all those generations, not only was the hardship living in a coal mining camp where life is hard, you had steam trains pulling the coal up and down out of the different mines. Your mama, she put her washout, but what would happen, they would mine a whole lot of extra coal. They'd send in a special train to pick up the last bit of the coal. My mother would have the clothesline full of clothes, and she would start hollering us by our name, first and middle name. When she did that, that was a sign of a serious situation at hand. So we had to all run and start gathering clothes off the line and bring them into the house, close all the windows down while the steam train went by, pulling 100 cars of coal. And after the dust and soot and all that stuff settled down, then we'd come back out and put the clothes back on the line. And also at the end of the 40s there, something become very prevalent across the land. There was an affliction called polio. And polio, I knew so many people. I used to go and watch this man in an iron lung. To me, that was the scariest thing I ever seen in my life. That thing was sitting there. And it had a little pump on the side. You could hand pump it in case your electricity went off. And you had to deal with the polio, diphtheria, measles, mumps, tuberculosis. And we worked through science and chemistry, and basically eradicated diphtheria and measles and tuberculosis. Thank God with the little thing on our arm right here, we was able to get a little vaccination that helped us to get through the polio epidemic. And then, of course, the Korean War waged on for about 3 years. Lots of deaths. A lot of my relatives that fought in World War II, they went to Korea, and some didn't come home. And then, of course, our family has all been military. My brother, just 18 months older than me, he joined the Army. And he was over there where Motorbahn, Virginia was at. He trained at Fort Story, Virginia. He trained at Fort Eustis, Virginia. He trained at Aberdeen Proving Grounds. He was trained in tank warfare in Camp Irving, California, which would be Barstow. And he was a soldier. Oh, God. He lived and breathed being a soldier. That's all he ever wanted to be, as a soldier. He made it till he was 18 years old. And he lived for 18 years, and then he was killed in the Army, the thing that he loved. And I want to tell you, we came by over there where he's buried. He's been laying over there for 65, 67 years. Well, he died May the 8th, 1956. And he's been laying there. The country, my great living country, this flag, as you can see right there. Look at the flag right there. There's the flag right there that I waved proudly. I wore the uniform. But my country could not put a plaque on my brother's grave. Shame, shame, shame. But he did what he loved, and that was the military. I was privileged. I got to go to military school. And I've lived a wonderful, long life. But I am living history. Oh, don't be sad for me. Be sad for my nation that was growing so fast in the 50s. They were just building super freeways and building, this country was alive building, that they overlooked 8 American soldiers buried in a national cemetery in Barstow, California. They missed 8 out of 10,000 buried over there. They didn't put a plaque on them. You know, like, thanks for your service. You died for a good cause. We love you, man. You got to take your life for what it is. He was born without an instruction book on how to get through it. And what you do is you muddle through it and you survive, trying to find that little bit of happiness every day. Now, I was sitting as happy as a pig in mud in my little house in Alabama. And then my sister, I love dearly, this is where we're at now. She was out cleaning her gutters at her senior years, and she hurt herself. Now, did I for a moment hesitate to come to be with her? No. We had to take what they call the southern route because of all the snow passes. The passes are all full of snow. And over there in New Mexico, in Gallup, New Mexico, the freeway I-40 was closed. So we had to go down to the Mexican border. We came in from New Orleans, cross all the way across Texas. Oh, man. Hey, I see more and more people showing up over here. Hey, I don't mean to get off on a tangent, but this is Tuesday, and we're approaching Thanksgiving for us here in America. And so what I'm telling you is be thankful. When you get with your family this Thursday, just keep in mind that you have a lot to be thankful for. Thank you, Looney. That was really appreciated. Freedom it's not achieved by sitting on your hunches and waiting for it to come to you. You have to develop that. And each and every one of my fellow Americans have their story. If they reached the age of 84, they can look back in those years, and their story is going to be different from mine, and same as my daddy. My daddy worked in the coal mines, and my daddy made $1 a day for shooting dynamite in the mines. He got paid $1 a day. If he was in Thailand, that would be 36 baht. 36 baht for a 10-hour day in the coal mines. But was he an angry, grouchy, hateful human being? He was mean, but he wasn't. He had a lot to be thankful for. He didn't die in the mines. He didn't get his head crushed or none of that kind of stuff. He died nevertheless. Yeah, but in those days, coal miners had a thing called black lung. My daddy was no exception. He died at 67 years of age. feeding us. So look back on your life and be thankful for all that you have. You may be living in a little cold water flat in New York and Brooklyn, or you may be living under a bridge in Seattle, or you might be living the good life in Florida, or riding the Gold Coast of California. Life has so many variables. There's so much. And being born in a place like America, where we have a lot of freedoms in a lot of ways, that freedom is earned, not given to us. Well, I'm hoping everybody gets time off for the holidays. There's going to be people working here where I'm at here in the Northwest. One of the largest unions in the nation, I think about 480,000 strong, 480,000 members across the nation. They just ended a strike against one of the largest aircraft companies in the world. And everybody is back to work. And they're having to try to build up and get ready for the holidays. So everybody's scurrying about, every store is packed full. We get out in traffic every day, and it just packed. Everybody out there doing their thing. Now, we got our tree all decorated, and I don't have my phone. I can show you a picture, but we got the tree up. I know it ain't Thanksgiving yet. It won't be till Thursday, but we went ahead and put the tree up, because when you get 84, you don't know if tomorrow's going to be here. So if you do it today, you know for sure it's going to be up. And besides that, there's a school right around the corner up here. I think it's like a middle school or something like that. And all them little kids, they walking back and forth going up this sidewalk over here, and they see the Christmas tree. We light it up every morning. We got outside lit up. And I know as a kid, it used to bring me joy when I could see festivities around the corner. I'm a pretty aggressive driver too, coming from NASCAR country. Oh, I should have. You know what? I should have put the invite up here. Oh, I'm so sorry. See, it's what happens when I run this thing by myself. I didn't have my support group here. I didn't have my support group saying, hey, stick up a link here. If you wanted to join me, you can do so now. You can go to OMAC, go to OMAC's page and go to community, and there'll be a link. And y'all can come on in. Come on in. Boy, I'll tell you, what a night we had last night. Oh, we had a pretty interesting night. Got a big party coming. Oh my God, she's been getting ready for this thing. We got to set up this table thing, and I have a daughter. She works for a large company here in the Northwest, and she's a journeyman cook. She has a union card that gives her journeyman status as a cook. Now, she don't cook. She's a superintendent over cooking. I mean, she has all the cooking. They got people that does the cooking. Her job is to make sure it's the right quality. We're going to be here the 28th of December, and we may have to even be longer because they said heavy snow is expected. I think they're talking about maybe through the first of the year. I don't know. My plan is to be heading to Alabama on the 28th of December. I want to get home so I can shoot my dynamite and all the stuff we like to do in Alabama. We blow stuff up in Alabama. It's a way of life. On the first day of the year, we like to blow stuff up. I blow a lot of stuff up, good stuff. It's my stuff. I can blow anything I want up. It belongs to me. And I blow up a lot of stuff. I love to see stuff blowed up. Hell, I like to see stuff blowed up. Well, I'm going to be heading south. Winter don't start till the 21st of December. Here in America, 21st of December is 21st, somewhere in that area, winter starts. So I'll get home on the first or week or so of winter. It'll take me 4 days to get home going the southern route because it's 3,480 miles. So I know exactly 3,480 miles going the southern route. If I have to go all the way to New Orleans, so I plan on going to Dallas, Fort Worth on the way back. When I get to El Paso, see, I-20 was closed, and I couldn't come from Dallas, Fort Worth down to El Paso, Texas. So I had to go to New Orleans to avoid. And I got down in New Orleans, and we were eat up with tornadoes. Oh my God! I got it on video. Tornadoes everywhere. But we survived Louisiana, got over in Texas, and as soon as we got to West Texas, the dirt started to blowing. The dust storms blew from El Paso, Texas, all the way, no, San Antonio, Texas, not El Paso, San Antonio, Texas. It blew all the way to Barstow, California. Oh, I was stationed in Great Falls, Montana. I was over there at Malmstrom Air Force Base, and I wintered out in Montana. So you have the Fraser Valley up there. The temperature would dip down to minus 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold. When it's 40 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 40, that's really cold. Because see, at 40 Fahrenheit, minus 40, normally after it goes past 40, you don't get the heavy winds. But you let a Chinook come in out of Canada in Montana, and when it's 44 below zero, it's so cold. It's hard to describe how cold it is. It is for a Southern boy. I used to go to a town in Ohio called Chillicothe. I don't know how to say it correctly. Chillicothe. It's the home of Ohio State, I believe it is. I used to go there at least once a month. I used to deliver up there to the International Paper Company in Chillicothe. That little sorry town, I'll tell you. Well, I can understand why they would have laws. You got a college town, and a lot of mischief takes place in the college town. But we would get up there, we'd have a heavy load on our truck, and we couldn't get into the gate until 7 in the morning. And if you parked anywhere on the street in Chillicothe, you find you a vacant field, pull your rig over into a vacant field, that light your ass up. Yeah, you would lose more money in that ticket for parking in a non-designated parking area. One time the law come out and was going to arrest me in Chillicothe. He was going to cuff me up and take me down because I told him I wasn't leaving because I had worked hard to get to that point. And hello, Miss Dragon Queen. And the security guard at the International Paper Company came out there, and he opened the gate and let me bring my rig inside, and then he locked the gate up, and we both looked at that ignorant law sitting out there. It was fun. Oh, it's a beautiful day. The sun, not the sun, the light is beginning to seep through the windows. It's just now begin to get daylight here in the Northwest. Our hours are a little bit different than over on the East Coast. Well, I know you got Dragon Queen, you got Republic of Korea at hand, or it's coming up, or maybe you've already got the assignment, and or you're that's going to be a destination. And I don't envy you because I had relatives that went to Korea during the war. And they didn't bring back no pretty stories. I had children, my children that served. I've got several of my kids that got full retirement from the military, but they had to serve a year in Korea. And none of them brought back a beautiful story about, oh my God. I mean, they wasn't complaining about how beautiful the country was. It was just such adverse conditions compared to that of Alabama. But when you're a world traveler like you, Dragon Queen, probably stuff like that is just another day in your life. Yes, I have. I have left America for fun. I've done it for the job. I've had to go. I had to go places that uh, I didn't particularly like. I wanted to go to Kobe, Japan, and I was almost that close. I got to go to Kobe, but I didn't get to go. Rhinestein. My children were at Rhinestein while they were stationed in Germany. Um, and my kids love the Philippines. I'm going to tell you this now. My big boy Don was here. He'd tell you some great stories. My big boy Don, he was on the destroyer uh, Ingersoll, USS Ingersoll, and they would sail into Subic Bay, and he'd put his civilian clothes on, and he'd get off the boat and get on a ferry boat, and he'd go to Mindanao, and he would ride down to Mindanao, and he'd have to go round up drunken sailors that had missed a ship. The orders come down, and they had to go pick up these drunken sailors. They'd get down there, and you'd have to have a lot of money to bribe officials to get yourself back to Luzon. And the sailor didn't have no money. Old sailor being let up there drunk with some beautiful woman. But then when he sobered up, he realized he can't get back to Luzon, and then the ship sailed without him. Then they'd send out orders to go pick him up. And none of those people my son went and picked up, none of them ever put up a struggle. He's big, and my son is a big boy. Um, I don't mean because he is big is the reason they didn't put up a struggle. Oh, hell no. They wanted to get back to the ship. So they did everything in their power to get back to the ship. And they of course, they got punished for being kind of like AWOL. But it's one of those things that you could usually work it out. You'd go to Captain's Mast, you get up there, and he would give you like maybe some brig time or reducing rank. Anybody ever went to Philippines, you're going to lose a rating occasionally. I've been watching a Filipino group, young people. There's look like there's 4 or 5 of them. Oh my God, they do such classic music. I watched them do Hotel California the other day. I can't remember the name of the Filipino group. They're getting more and more popular. Every one of the members of the family, even the littlest little girl to the older boy, they play such beautiful music. They're really talented people. Yeah, one of our sons, he got him a beautiful Filipino woman, and they had a really, really good son. Uh, I love the Philippines. I think there's been a love for the Philippines by the American people for a long time. Hey, Moto buddy, I'm not ignoring you. I put a link up there if you want to come and join me on the page, because in my room, only the lonely. Mm. We got Frogzilla in here. We got a few folks in here. Um, sure, I'd love to have some company while while you're heading off to work here, going through your tunnels and your freeways and your bypasses and over flats or whatever they call them. They got so many names for those spaghetti looking highways, you know, where you got overpasses, underpasses, and clover leaves. And let me put that link back up here. You have it. You don't. I think you don't have no problem getting the link, Moto. But I'll stick it back up here just in case. There you go. Well, I guess it's time for me to reach into my stash here and get myself another prune. Oh, yeah. Man, there's some good ones. Good way to start the day. Mm. Well, I'm sure here in America, everybody's getting ready for their Thanksgiving. 2:30 in the morning. Oh my God. I think Moto's he's gonna turn his cameras on his ride, and he'll be all up in the page here with me. Kids, don't let your kids, folks, don't let your kids get on drugs. So you can see what happens when you do drugs. Look right over there. That old man, he's only 29 years old. Look at him. I I wished I had some coffee. I've got these beautiful women around here, but they're still laying up in bed, sleeping. Oh, it's the wrong way. Oh, see to me on my screen. Let me see if I can turn this around. Maybe I can. Let me go over here to settings, and let me see if I can mirror. I've got it mirror on my camera. Yeah, I've got it. I've got it mirrored. Well, it looks good for me. So I can probably take the mirror and think, that's okay. At least I know what I would. All right. I'll point that away. Hey,
Hey, man.
there's my man right there.
How are you?
Oh, life is good, buddy.
I'm telling you, that sounds good. Just get my, oh, there we are. Gotta make sure I got all my stuff good before I start, driving down the road.
Now, you're not like too far. You haven't parked your bike up for the winter, have you?
No, I ride all year round, except today it's raining. I just fixed my R1 fairings a couple days ago so I could ride that, and I was excited to ride today, but it's like in the forecast it said rain starting 65% right now, and that's when I got to leave.
Well, rain can be treacherous. As you know, a while ago, you was probably getting ready for work, but we were snowed in up here. All your passes are all closed, and it's been now snowing for a week or so, but
Yeah.
they're talking about it's not going to get any better. I looked at the long range projection and they said once we get over this snow period of time, somewhere approaching Christmas, they expect a lot of flooding because the rain in the Pacific is going to bring the Japanese current in. And when it comes in, it's going to be a warm rain, 48 degrees and raining. And it's going to, of course, the snow is going to melt and wash down everything. So,
Yep.
but that's been going on for centuries, so it ain't something new.
Nope. You hear me okay? I'm a little ways away from the phone.
No, you're good. No problem at all.
Yeah, Fargo, North Dakota. I grew up right next to Fargo, like 20 miles, 25. They got a couple river systems up there, and when you get an abundant snow, the whole thing was every year. Most of us had to go up and help our friends that we knew up there sandbag because of the when the snow would melt. Especially if you had heavy snow, all the rivers would flood and come up, and flood people's homes and whatever. And that was a thing you did almost every year.
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends that live in Minnesota, lived there all their lives, and man, the story. In fact, I've witnessed it. I went up to Duluth, Minnesota, and actually I went on up to a place called Eveleth, just north of Duluth.
Yeah.
A big ore mines up there. I hauled a load
Yep.
of steel up there on a flatbed truck, and I got up there, and it was when I got in Eveleth, it was 33 below zero,
Yeah.
and so we had to wait from Friday to Monday to get unloaded because they didn't have anybody that could warm the equipment up to unload us because all the equipment was out in the yard. And at 33 below zero, it takes a team of people to get those big engines running. And so I had to sit there to Monday. But when I left Eveleth and went back down to Duluth, they had these icebreakers cutting channels for the ore boats to go up the channel. They was just long strings like caravans of
Yeah.
ore boats. It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
it's a strange thing at that low temperature to see. Like when you get down to Iowa, one of the largest truck stops in America, and Sterling Will can tell you this over on I-80. This thing is so big. When you get within 3 or 4 miles of the place, all you see is exhaust from the engine, like
Yeah.
blowing your breath out, and it makes a cloud above that hole. When you got 150 trucks sitting there idling with all that condensation, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, you got a client today?
Yes, I do at noon. Some existing work that I've done, and gonna do a nice flowers and stuff, which I really like to do. It's gonna be pretty.
Let me say bye to
Yeah, that's a
Looney
good
there.
thing.
He's
You were
Looney's.
saying they did busting of ice.
Go ahead.
busting of ice on Superior, Lake Superior. They're able to open up Lake Superior for shipping lanes in the winter.
Yep. And I actually
Yes.
got to see it happen. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I never knew that they could do that in the winter. I figured it pretty froze over solid and thick, but
No, they'd break those big chunks of ice and they'd go up through there and they'd have just a channel cut down through there, and all the ore boats would run in that same channel.
yeah. Wow.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, when I got there in Minnesota, the guy told me at the ore company, you know, where the mines was, he said, you are to come over here and let us fill you up with our fuel we use here in the yard. And he said, this will help you get down out of Minnesota. And their fuel has some stuff in it, keep the fuel from freezing in the lines.
Right.
And all the trucks have it up there. And so he went ahead and put me like 100 gallons of that good stuff in it. And because I sat out there and we was frozen from Friday to Monday, and my truck was basically froze to the ground.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
I spent the night.
When your
Go ahead.
truck's out hot and warm and melting all that stuff, and then you go to park, you know, all that water comes down and you freeze your vehicle right to the ground, your tires, and
Yeah. What I did is I sat there Friday night and I slept on my sleeper Friday night. Well, my engine, it was a Caterpillar engine in the truck, and it didn't put off enough of heat. Even if everything closed off, it got so cold inside the sleeper that I had to get out and walk to Motel 8 to get me a motel room so I could stay Saturday night and Sunday night in the motel, because it was just too cold and unbearable to sleep inside the sleeper.
I can believe that.
I just left the engine running for a couple of days and it was all right.
You know how like you have Zippo lighters?
Yeah.
And for hunting, they used to make great big ones of those that you would light up just to get heat, and you'd throw them in different areas of your suit and your pocket. And,
Oh, yeah.
We did that for like goose hunting and stuff. I was thinking, man, you could have used a few of those to try to sleep at night. And that's some survival skills right there, I'll tell you. And
Yeah. Well, I tell you, a place that was even colder than that for a short period of time was up there on at the Lincoln Memorial on I-80 in Wyoming. I was up at 9,800 feet. Elevation 9,800 feet at the Lincoln Memorial.
yeah,
And it was so cold there. What happened, I was sitting, we were on the freeway and we had everything locked up. We couldn't move. There was hundreds of trucks all trapped there on that pass. And while I was sitting there, I saw this truck right along beside me start moving ahead. I said, oh, they're opening the lanes up. He's getting in close to work there. So I didn't think nothing about it. And then I felt a crash. I said, oh, hell, somebody's run into me. It was not them people moving. The wind blew my whole rig down the hill on the Lincoln Memorial Pass there. It blew me till I hit the front end of another truck with my rig back there, the DOT bumper, and I just bumped him, and all this time I'm thinking the traffic is moving past me, and I was literally sliding backwards. I had a heavy load on that thing, and the wind was blowing. And when you got a condo, what they call a condo sleeper, it's got this way above you, and it's like a wind sail. And you take that wind at 50 miles per hour, it just shoves that truck back like it means nothing. Yeah, that was cold.
yeah. Traffic is super thick here, so I'm just a little distracted. I'm listening though.
Well, you keep an eye on what you got to do. Well, you know what you got to do. Oh, look at that. I've seen
About
this route before.
Yeah, we're about ready to go under the tunnel in about a, I don't know, quarter, half mile, something like that. But yeah, a little heavy flow today.
Yeah, I'll bring you up. So I'll bring you up there in case when you
Yeah,
start to go through.
I will. Yeah,
I got you brought up. I got you brought up here. There we
okay.
go. Now,
Way across over there, there's aircraft carriers and stuff across the sea. I know you can't see it because it's way too small, but it's there. That's where the largest naval base in the world is. And I don't know how well. Can you see the road kind of okay?
yeah, real good. I can see your cloud coverage.
Yeah, and the cranes up there.
Yep, I see them sticking up in front of you there.
Yeah, well, that's about where the tunnel entrance start, and that's where off to the right side. That's where they're digging the new tunnels that are going to go underneath all this water. So that's the lovely chaos. And here we're about ready
Hey,
to descend.
yeah, I'm seeing the cranes getting bigger and bigger. There's a person that I watch called Itchy Boots. It's a woman, a young, beautiful woman from the
I know it.
Netherlands. All right, she rides everywhere, northerly. She's a wonderful human being. She's riding across Turkey right now at this very moment. And yesterday, or here this week, she was going through the tunnels over there along a river that was miles and miles in length. And I'm talking about dug primitive, picks and shovels and stuff way back in the day. And man, she goes through some of the most beautiful countryside, but yet so threatening. Yes, looking good. Under the
Yeah, we're
river,
still hooked up.
yep, under the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah, exactly. Right at the very top of it, where it circles inland. That's right where we're at. Like the left side's the Chesapeake, and the right side are a couple river systems: Elizabeth River and the
Yep.
James River. The Elizabeth River, it's like an what do they call it? Coastal waterway for like shipping, tugboats, and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, of course the James River. That's always noted in history books. Of the early pioneers
Oh yeah,
and yeah. Remember, I went and stayed in Baltimore. My brother was stationed. My brother Charles was stationed at Fort Hollinsburg there in Baltimore, Maryland. So I lived at Canton, which is a,
yeah.
a little village in right across from Fort McHenry in Baltimore. Oh, what a beautiful time to be when you're 16 years old and get to see that beautiful Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah. Oh, you remember that the dolly that ran into the bridge up there, the key
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever
Sure.
key. Yeah, well that actually went over this tunnel that I'm in because it goes over to the Newport News shipbuilders there. That's where they build everything, all major ships, and so that's where it went for repair.
We
It's
came
kind of interesting.
to Newport News. One of our boys, I think he got his E7 or E8, his rating, chief petty officer, whatever. They brought him from the Nimitz aircraft carrier Nimitz. They took it from Bremerton, Washington, over to Newport News, Virginia.
Yeah.
And so he had to go with the Nimitz over there. And then he picked up a new ship called the Abraham Lincoln, and they brought it back to Seattle,
Wow. Yeah.
to Bremerton. So I went up there for the ceremonies.
Well, it's a big deal over here. Lots of employees. It's a city kind of its own, almost within Newport News. I've been down there before. Uh, Larry HD, 68, he retired from there. I'm sure you've heard that name maybe thrown
Yep.
out a time or
Oh,
two,
yeah.
but he's a motovlogger
Yep.
too, got a channel, and I met him up at VAM. Ray Gregory knows him, and a lot of people know him. But he's a local here, and yeah, he's taking drone footage. They let him take drone footage over top of all the Newport News stuff. You go to his channel, you can see some really cool drone footage. That place is huge. I mean, I think they do military stuff there too, if I'm not mistaken. Building ships. I mean, huge ships. That's what they do. Big operation. If you're a welder, you're in business.
When I was going to college, to get the most credits possible, I had to take a welding course. Yeah. And I took the welding course, and then what they did for graduation, they took us to the shipyards in Seattle, Washington, and we had to work with the superintendents and all those people, and they took us out and they put us in a workforce, the students, so that we could get on-job training. Man, that's a busy place.
Yeah. It's funny, I was just talking to you about Larry 68 HD, and I just got a YouTube notification that popped up on the phone while I was here from Larry. His ears must have been burning. Oh, here's Old Glory.
Oh man, thank you very much. Yep, she's flying. She's flying in the breeze. Yeah, she's flying gently in the breeze. Not bad. Oh, it's almost sticking out there.
Yeah, I see that every day when I come to work. I love seeing it, and they took it down for at least a year, and I'd really missed seeing it, and then it's been back up now for, I don't know, a good 6-8 months probably again. But
when I was on the aircraft carrier Nimitz, we went through the ceremonies. They bring all hands on deck, all that's available to come up on deck, 4,000 or 5,000 people around the deck, and they lower the flag down and they put a new flag up and they burn that flag. That flag no longer, it's burnt. It doesn't go into archive, and it's an admiral ship. And they burn the flag, and it's part of the ceremonies. That's like putting them in, dropping them over burial at sea. And this is one of the old things they did in the Navy back in the day.
Sorry, yeah. That big old semi tailgating me. I don't like that when they do that.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I do know the feeling.
Yeah, hauling containers, containers and hauling containers around here is a big deal because, all the cargo ships and the waterway that's here, containers are quite abundant.
Frogzilla said his father, he served on the USS Enterprise. The USS Enterprise was one of the first nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. And I believe we were in San Diego. We pulled in. The ship had been in the Persian Gulf, and when we came into not Diego Garcia, but San Diego, California, the Kitty Hawk was sitting there in San Diego, and we had just got landed, and everybody went out and got drunker than hell. And then when we came back on the ship, there was 100 Marines on the Nimitz. And they'll beat you to the ground. You don't get in their way. They're security for the ship. Yeah. Well, everybody's all drunken and disorderly, and there was lots of fights on the ship. All of a sudden, about 2 o'clock in the morning, the alarm goes off. Burr, burr, burr. General alarm. We had all hands on deck. The Kitty Hawk was on fire, sitting there in the port. So our crew, the fire crew, I wasn't a part of the fire crew, but the fire crew from the Nimitz went down to help put the fire out on the Kitty Hawk aircraft carrier. I tell you, another ship that there's two ships I really enjoyed seeing. One was in the Chesapeake Bay. It was one of our first Navy ships. I think it's the USS Constitution.
Chesapeake Bay right over there.
Yeah, there's a sailing ship there, the USS Constitution, that sits there in the harbor. That had been for many, many years. It's either Constitution or Constellation. I can't remember which one, but I've been aboard that ship. It's an old black sailing ship, woodcraft, beautiful ship. And the other one, you ain't going to imagine what the other ship that I hold in a certain amount of pride. It's called the USS Turner Joy. Turner Joy. Now, what would be significant about Turner Joy was, you remember it was sitting in Tonsanut Bay when supposedly the North fired on our ship, and that's what helped get us involved in Vietnam.
Yeah.
The USS Turner Joy. I went aboard it, and so you got these horns that you can speak into. They're air horns. You can speak, and it goes through these air channels or whatever. And the guy, a chief, will call out orders over this air horn, not an electrical horn, but an air horn.
Yeah.
And I go up there, and I went, "Now hear this. Now hear this. Smoke them if you got them."
Oh, man, I bet you were a ham all the time, man.
It raised a few eyebrows,
Sure.
Smoke if you got them. I used to go to a lot of different ships. We'd pull in the port and we'd go visit other ships, and they have to pipe you on board. And was you was Air Force, was you, or
Army?
Army. Okay, so in the Navy they have to pipe you aboard when you come up. They have to pipe you on board.
Wow.
And it's the ceremonies.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's what they call piping you on board. That little seaman about there, he'll blow that little whistle.
I have arrived.
Yeah, you made a safe trip.
Yeah, it's really, really overcast and blue, but
you didn't have to worry about losing your gloves today, did you?
no. There's the Chesapeake.
Yep. Let me tell you.
Way out there and way over there, I can see it. I know you all can't, but it's the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel, which is 20-some miles, nothing but water when you cross it. It's pretty cool.
Let me tell you, I think I told you one time when I got a chance to speak to Stephen Hawking. You know Stephen Hawking?
Yeah.
Okay. I got to talk to him in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and he wasn't able to carry on a normal conversation, but his interpreter spoke for him to us. We were doing a thing for Ronald Reagan, the president of the United States. It's called Star Wars, and we were building projects for Ronald Reagan, the Star Wars project. And Stephen Hawking provided us with the information about laser light amplification, laser beam. Man. Okay, so the instructor that linked us up to Sao Paulo, Brazil, his name was Charlie Jones. So you say, what's significant about Charlie Jones? Charlie Jones, his great-grandfather, was John Paul Jones. Does that name ring a bell?
It does. I can't play
during the war of 18, I believe it was 1812. I know, maybe before that. There was a British Armada sitting out there in Charleston Bay, and he took his USS Ranger, a sailing ship, and he put Fort McHenry cannons aboard the sailing ship that's used for defending the fort. And he fought his way through the British. He fought his way and put a lot of those great, big, wonderful British fighting machines, sailing craft, those big, wonderful machines. And he waded right through them and fired on both sides. He put a lot of ships to the bottom that day. It was John Paul. You know what happened to him? Do you know where John Paul Jones died?
No.
He died in France. And they buried him in a lead-lined coffin. And when they went to put the subways in over in Paris, they dug up John Paul Jones's coffin, and he had an American uniform on, and they actually, the government of America got the money together in Congress and brought him back to America. See, he went over and fought. He fought with Napoleon. Napoleon Bonaparte went all the way to Russia.
Yeah.
And John Paul Jones took his sailing craft and went all the way to Russia with Napoleon. And they buried him as a national hero in France. American military buried in France as a national hero. And it took them a year to get enough money to get him back to America. That's how poor we were as a country.
Hey, how you doing?
Maybe that's some history nobody wanted to hear, but that was the story of John Paul Jones.
Yeah, I hated history in school. I don't know why. It bored me to death and couldn't get it, where it's a lot more fascinating now that you're older, but I never heard of that story.
Now, probably in high school, when you went to high school, the kind of training you really needed is how you could take one hand while driving your car, reach around the corner of your girlfriend sitting there and unhook her bra with one hand.
Yeah,
you needed those skills. You had to have those skills.
That's what it was, and drive a clutch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you'd been up in Minnesota, you know. I'm sure you had some wonderful times and probably stories that just boggle the imagination. You could tell some of the stories of your youth in Minnesota.
Coming in the other studio. So give me just a second. Get off my phone and get on the PC here.
All righty.
There we are. I'm going to try and get rid of this one without shutting you off, Mac.
Oh, that's going to be a trick. Watch this. Watch him. Look at this. Watch him. He's going to do a magic. Whoa.
Sorry.
Oh, such fun we have. I think, hold on. Let me see. Maybe this one did I get it? I got you on. Let me see. Well, we need to take this one off, right?
Yeah.
This one right here. There we go.
So you don't need a fancy, expensive soundboard. Just let me get in on your live.
Whoop, 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 whoop. I notice you use that every once in a while. You do the whoop, whoop, whoop. You know, you'll do that when you're typing. You go whoop, 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 or whatever. That reminds me of the sound you get when you get feedback. Whoop, 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 whoop.
That's what it was too, man. It was gets loud. I was like, dang it, I'm afraid to hit the wrong button again and cut your whole live off like I did that one day. I'm a little paranoid.
Look who's in here with us.
I see T-Bone, man.
What's going on this morning, gentlemen?
Good morning. I've been waiting on you.
Hey, I got to tell T-Bone something before I lose track of thought. We was watching the movie and you was in it last night. We was watching one of my live streams and T-Bone, you was in it and she saw your picture on the Harley, you know, the Bigfoot. And we're in the home of Bigfoot right here in the Northwest. She said, you got the most beautiful voice. Said your voice is so strong. She said it really has a reassurance about it. So I wanted to share that with you.
Yeah.
And who said that?
My sister. My sister.
Your sister. Well, tell your sister I said thank you very much. Yeah, well, tell your sister I said thank you very much.
Will do. Yeah, we went through some of the old videos.
Well, if I had Dean's look and my voice, we'd be in good shape. That long flowing hair.
That's funny.
And don't forget playing the guitar.
Your memory, Dean's looks, and my voice, we'd be a mean trio.
I need the old Mac beard and mustache though.
Hey, what did you think of that picture I sent you, Motorbomb? What did you think about that picture I sent you of Joyce and her mustache?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was about like me trying to do my Fu Manchu.
Yeah. Yeah, you remember that time when Ray Gregory pulled his beard together and made a little pigtail right here, and I done that, and Angelique come around the corner and she said, "For God's sakes, take that off."
Yeah. That's funny.
I don't have much control over my life. I'm gonna tell you. You can
No.
see right here as it is today. Yesterday, she said, "Let me trim that a little bit," and look at this. Mine's about the size of motor bomb.
She took quite a bit of it off, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. You didn't get to see the picture of her that I sent to Motorbomb there. We took the hair and she put a little bit of Scotch tape and stuck it right below her nose, and she had these big handlebars hanging down like this. I told her it kind of reminded me of Dave in Australia.
Oh man, are y'all about set for Thanksgiving?
They went out yesterday. They went yesterday to Costco's and all the stores, and they brought in. Have you ever, Dean? I'm sure you've seen the Costco pies. How big Costco pies are? They're huge. They bake them fresh every day. My daughter said at that store we went to yesterday, they bake 800 pies a day. That's how many they're moving a day. 800 pies a day. She said it will top out on Wednesday at 1,200 pies on Wednesday. And just that one store.
Wow.
It's got to be hot in that kitchen.
That's a lot of pies. Oh, God almighty.
Yeah, the Costco pies are big.
Well, I mean, that's all industrial cooking too. They've got to be industrial ovens, and you ain't cooking 1,200 pies on your Maytag in the kitchen. You're gonna have to.
You might have to use the old Maytag washer to mix all the ingredients before you start baking. But man, I tell you, my daughter, that's what her occupation is. She's a journeyman union card carrying chef from Costco, and her job is to make sure all the pies are quality. She's over all the baked goods of that. Costco started right here in the state of Washington, and she's up at the Canadian border store. Well, the store we're at down here is in Covington, and her friend that runs the Covington store, they all went to school together. And so we get great deals, let me tell you. It's good to have somebody inside the food market.
That's my project.
Absolutely.
Look at this. That's beautiful. Let me bring it up here. Oh, look at that.
And make it from.
Now that's traditional roses, isn't it?
Oh, look at that.
You got everything in there. Okay.
Yeah, I get pictures like that given to me, stuff like that, and I just make stencils from them, and then arrange the whole collage where she wants it. We have something spiral going down that kind of on the left and right, and it kind of spirals down from her elbow to her wrist in like a one twist, and there's space in between, so we're going to fill that space up so it'll kind of spiral around the arm, and inside will be the arrangements of flowers, and she'll have these borders of, I don't know, I think they were leaf trails and stuff, like a vine or something, if I remember right. I don't know.
Wow.
I've done a lot of projects, so I forget. But yeah, that's going to be fun. That's what I got to get ready for. So I should probably head out anyway and get a couple more things ready for it and get all my stuff set up. And
how long will it take you, Dean? How long will it take you to run that size tattoo? I'm sure that's not one sitting, is it?
Yeah, probably a couple, unless you're prepared to sit 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, depending on how much more of that I would do to complete.
Right.
Yeah, it could be close to 5, 6 hours, maybe. I'll probably do 3 hours today. We'll see.
If you have a really good, like somebody spends 4 or 5 hours with you, do they leave you a pretty good tip?
Yeah, they really do. Yeah, I've had nice $100 tips quite often, for doing 5 hours of work, which is pretty cool, you know. And sometimes you get a couple dollars or, you know, 5 or 10 once in a while, but usually you get a couple 20s, you know, every time somebody visits, you know, $40, $60, something like that is fairly common.
I give my barber a $20 tip.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not because I'm a generous
For
guy.
hair that grows back next month, I give you something to last a lifetime.
Yeah, right, right. Now we do that in restaurants. Certain restaurants I go in, like me and R want to go out and eat. If the service is top notch, I'll drop a $20 tip without even thinking about it. And then sometimes I don't even want to leave a dollar tip.
Hey, OC. Oh, see, I'm sorry. I looked over here and I was reading the little the comments and stuff. But T-Bone, when it comes to tattooing, I've never had one yet, but I think when I do get a tattoo, I'm gonna have to have a special person that can do it, because I'm gonna have a dollar bill tattooed on my anatomy, my anatomy, because I want to watch my money. I want to watch my money grow.
Yeah.
Come on, folks. Come on. That was a good one. Now, come on.
You've been hanging around Hooligan too long.
Hooligan. I haven't seen him. Well, I did. I saw him. I haven't seen him, but I saw some of his work. I was showing my sister. We went through there, and we was looking at some stuff. And my sister says to me last night at 1:00, she said, "Can you copy all those movies onto my external hard drive?" I said, "My movies alone, you'd have to have like 3 or 4 terabytes to be able to get just my movies, just off YouTube." And I said, "Why would you want to copy them?" She said, "Well, because I want to keep them." I said, "Look, just go to my page and there's all the hundreds of my videos I've done. You'll have them as long as you got a computer or as long as you got a cell phone, you know?"
Yeah.
And so I was thinking she'd want me to do that.
Yeah.
As long as she can find my webpage.
That'd be a lot of. Yeah, that'd be a lot of information trying to download like all your movies, and then if she enjoyed somebody else's channel trying to download all of their videos, golly bum, yeah. Whew.
Look at me and Sick. We do videos as long as 6 hours long, right here on StreamYard.
Yeah.
So that would, imagine how many gigabytes a 6 hour long video would be.
Whew.
So anyhow, we're going to go.
You can run into a lot of gigabytes just uploading a 15-20 minute video.
That's right. And a lot of my bike riding, my moto things, I'll run up an hour and it'll be 27 gigabytes. And remember, before I got my new system, Moto, you remember what it was like? I almost didn't. It would take me 24 hours to do one movie, upload one movie. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah, you always were stressing about that. Now you do well. Your video uploads go pretty good too for you, as well as your live streaming.
Oh yeah, they're really good.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, just imagine some of those people like Bad Chad out of Nova Scotia. Bad Chad does a 1 hour video every day, 7 days a week. And it's high resolution, high everything, you know, and they, of course, he's got a commercial account, but my God, that's got to be they got to have a good service up there to be able to upload that kind of speed, you know.
Absolutely, I would think so. I wish I knew numbers. I don't know numbers when I see them, you know, millibytes or whatever it is for your connection. I know you know something about it, I guess, from your ham radio days or whatever, but that's all foreign and Greek to me. Like, I don't know what's a good number and what's bad.
Yeah, when they started introducing us to numbers, when we had a thing called binary language, started to appear in the early 70s. I think by 1972 we were familiar with binary.
Yeah.
When they began to introduced that stuff. Well, about 1975, no, it'd be 1980, somewhere like that. They introduced us to fuzzy logic, where we begin to. There was a guy. His name was Stephen Hawking, and he coined the phrase Google cluster. A Google cluster. Now look at your search engine called Google, because of the mass quantity of ones and zeros involved in a corporation like Google. And a Google cluster it's like a one with 1,000 zeros strung out behind it. That's how big a cluster is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's
the numbers. The numbers got so big they had to have a new term to describe the massness of the numbers.
Yeah, and it really don't help. Other than it's a fancy term.
Yeah. Yeah, well, unless you've got that kind of education and that kind of IQ that binary code, you look at, all I see is ones and zeros.
I
like
think
Max
it's
said, there's people looks at that and they can read it. Yeah.
Yeah. When you get to fuzzy logic, you have an indefinite number of zeros after the one. In other words, you're not just stuck with ones. Fuzzy is like in between each of those zeros. There's an infinite amount of numbers that can be stacked, and so you begin to see a thing in Windows called stacking. On your hard drive, you stack files. You stack.
Yeah.
You're stacking large quantities of clusters. It gets complicated.
Yeah, way over my head.
Yeah,
if you want, it's really not a big deal. I'll share screen again. I was going to trace this other thing out again real quick.
Sure, yeah, please do so.
I use this little, let me see where, this pad and this pen, and then I can trace and draw all my stuff on the computer here, which I've been using that for years. But
look at that.
So if I have that and I need to make a stencil for it, I got so many screens up here. Hang on. There we are. Let's see if I can just do a little demonstration real quick. But it's a little laggy because I got so much stuff open, but that's how fast you can make a
stencil.
Yeah, stencil for somebody. Like when I do portraits and stuff, this is really nice because you can get all the details, around the eyes and cheeks and teeth and all the little hairs just right, because you can trace everything,
Now, do you do a lot of portrait work too, Moto?
Oh man, I used to do tons of it. It's not as popular anymore, but for the longest time, it was a thing. So once I do that, let's see, that's what's underneath it. I just get rid of that. They're stackable layers.
Yeah.
Just like when you make your videos.
Yep.
And this is a lot like a lot of the techniques I use to make my thumbnails and whatever. Not like they're all that great, but they're not. I make them and then using all that stuff that I do on your backgrounds of your lives and whatever. I do most of that all in here, just using different tools and cutting and pasting, putting stuff together. And if I don't like that, I can just get rid of it real quick. And
yeah.
This is a poppy. She wants a poppy as well, so. Yeah.
And you got a color field that you can go in and add your probably various.
All these tools over here. Yeah, I can color fill. I can patch. And remember when I blended your two pictures together and kind of made it seamless? There's tools that will do that.
That is pretty cool right there. When we was up in engineering, they introduced us a thing called CAD 3D.
Yeah.
And you did a wireframing. That kind of looks like wireframing, and then by the middle 70s or early 80s, we got where we could vector and eschew the wireframe. In other words, we could put an axis on anything, and we can spin it on its axis in any position we wanted to, you know. After they finally got a good enough a system that could handle that much mathematics. That's beautiful.
Just about got it. And this is kind of
A lot
pressure
of work goes
sensitive.
into doing stuff like that.
So if I push hard, I can get a pretty fat line. And then if I start really barely touching.
Yeah. Light, very light tracing.
Yeah.
And you can take it away as easy as you put it on there.
Yeah, just hit. I got controls on the keyboard that are real fast because my fingers are trained. I know how to go back step, forward step, merge layers, save, all kinds of things. Go to another tool and just hit a button, so you don't got to mess around with your time. So I don't know. That was kind of cool, huh? I just thought I would share that. I made a little instructional thing on video making, or at least how I do it with Adobe Rush Premiere, that I'm going to try to put out on Friday. See how one of those go over if anybody looks at them. Watch. It's like an hour long though, you know, but you can't do that stuff. And if you want to actually watch how somebody's doing it and moving and decision making and why I do it, you know what I mean? Because I think to me that was helpful in the beginning, because I couldn't wrap my head around editing at first. You know, it took a little bit of time, but knowing this Adobe Photoshop, it helped because I understood layers and I knew the tricks of opacities and different things to make it work. So it wasn't too bad, but
we'll yeah, I do remember when CAD 3D first started out. We you used that word occupancy or whatever. How's that word you said? Occupancy, you know,
opacity.
Opacity. That's it. I remember when we didn't have colors to work with, because in the binary language they didn't have enough of language to be able to just put color numbers in here. But we worked in different shades of gray and dark, you know, and so you could do all that stuff from out of that Adobe.
That's how I see how that original picture was this dark. I can't see my lines that I make when I draw over that. So I changed the opacity to where I can see the background still and do the drawing. So, you know, just a helpful tool.
Hey, 2-4.
So now you're all trained and ready to use Adobe Photoshop. I'm going to head out, man. It was great hanging with you. I wanted to come on and say hi. Good hearing you, T-Bone. Great premiere last night. I hung out for most of it. I was on a live, and it was just hard.
Yeah, I saw John never really cut his live off. I swung back in for a few minutes after my video was over.
I stepped out. I did yours and somebody else. I forgot who else was on too. But anyway, try to share amongst y'all. You take care. Have a beautiful day, huh?
Thank you, buddy, for joining us.
All right.
We'll holler at you in a little bit.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, when we was prowling around last night, we run across, I saw John. I told my sister, I said, oh, John is on, because I know he was probably going to talk about his new bike. And I wanted to hear about it. But, of course, we had other things going on at the same time. So I didn't get to see it. I did see it was on, but I never got to go over and participate.
Yeah, I don't know. Normally nobody goes live on Monday nights. So he may be testing the waters to see how he does there. But I think he was just more or less just bored, wanting something to do, so he went live.
You know that old saying, like in that movie, you build them and they will come, and that's what I do, because I can only hear. I can't choose my times because I don't know when we're going to be on the road or whatever. But when I get a chance to sit down in front of the computer, well, I'll go live, and sometime I'll sit here for 8 or 9, 10 minutes before anybody shows up.
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
I don't get a whole lot of notifications anymore. I just refresh my homepage, and that's usually when I find out somebody's doing something.
I usually look around before I go on because I know Sick, he can be on anytime. I've run across him 3 o'clock in the morning, and 3 o'clock my
Yeah,
time out here. So, and I run across Dave at almost any time too. Now Dave was in a kind of like a downtrodden way last night. He was hurt, and I could tell his eye was really red, and he put drops in his eye, and he basically was struggling a little bit there. He wasn't letting on about the pain, but you could tell he was having pain.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, that has to be uncomfortable. I mean, I've got a sty on my eye right now, and that thing's driving me crazy. I've had it for about 4 days now. Usually, I get them; they last about 3 or 4 days because it starts itching, and you really can't get to the eyelid to scratch it.
I had a sty on my right eye on the lower lid, and it kind of festered up a little bit, and then it finally, when it erupted or whatever you call it, it bothered me. So I went to the doctor, and he just put a little something in it, but it left a little tiny divot in my bottom eyelid. And now if my water eyes at all, it always gathers up right at that divot.
Yeah, I've got one of those divots in my upper lid.
Last night, I know you're involved in, you like MMA and all that stuff. I was watching the World Championship slap fights last night, and I wanted my sister to be able to. She said, "Why would men do that kind of stuff?" I said, "It's competition." And I said, they strike them in the lower jaw. It ain't like hitting them up in the head, like boxers always get brain damage and stuff. And I said, rarely does slappers get brain damage. They get their jaws broken and stuff. And oh my God, this guy's 410 pounds. That's the crazy Hawaiian. 410 pounds he weighed in at. And he slapped the snot out of that big Russian guy. I mean, he knocked him out.
Yeah, I've seen that guy you're talking about, and I watch the women do it too.
Yeah,
and a lot of times they're a little bit more violent than the men. But all that slap fighting. All that is just, back in the '80s, we had arm wrestling was huge. Everybody wanted to be an arm wrestler after they saw Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone, and everybody wanted to be an arm wrestler. It's just one of them fads that comes along. I just can't stand. I don't think I could abide standing there letting a grown man slap me through the face. I just don't think I could do it.
Yeah, if you flinch, and that's a natural response, is to flinch. But if you flinch, they take points away. And if you pull your shoulder up, which is another instinct to block a blow, and that's more points taken away. And oh my God,
I just don't think I could stand there and allow that to happen. I don't think I could just stand there and let somebody slap me through the face. I know me. I know what my first reaction would be.
I have slapped a person. We were at a place called the Algona Bar and Grill in the town of Algona. And we had already been warned about fighting. I used to fight a lot. I don't mean I was a mean person. I hung out in places where there was fights. And we had a fairly large group of us who used to go over there. We shot pool at all these places. And so the lady owned the place, her name was Alice. And Alice had gave us a warning, no more fist fighting in her bar or we'd be banned from the bar. So we were having this little discussion, me and this guy. He was a machinist from the Boeing company, same company I was working for. He was a machinist. I knew him, and he had sort of an angry attitude about things. And when we stood up, usually when men stand up, there's going to be blows, or it ain't one of them phony things like, yapping back and forth at one another. Because once you make the effort to stand up, you're going to do whatever you got to do to make it go away. So we both stood up. And now in the back of my brain, way back there, it said, no more fist fighting. But I took that hand right here and I slapped him in the face. I hit him so hard in the face, like these guys hit one another. The palm of my hand right here hit his jawbone. Boom! Oh hell! He fell on the back. His head hit the hardwood floor, the dance floor. And here comes Alice and her bartender, the guy that throws people out, the bouncer. Alice come over there. She said, "I told you about." I go, "Ma'am, open hand." She laughed. But anyhow, he got up on his feet, and this was on a Sunday afternoon when I slapped him. Monday, we're back in the company. I'm over at that 12-foot urinal in the men's room there, and he come walk right up beside me, and he had a pack of cigarettes rolled up in his sleeve right here. And I looked over at him, and he looked at me, and I looked back at him, and he did his business. I did mine. We left, and that was the end of that.
Right. Well, I've always heard that in fighting, it's more humiliating just to slap somebody. See, just so y'all know, Sick has no electricity today. He has a help link on his Facebook account. I mean, he's over there. I'm friends with him on Facebook. Yeah, Moto. He's over there and check in on him here in a minute.
Hey, I'll kind of go ahead and cut you loose, because the girls are up now, and the dogs are going to be soon cut loose. There's one right over there in the cage. She's the newest little puppy. They have to cage her up, and they put a blanket over the cage so she don't see anything until she hears their voices, and then she'll start yapping. Was you on here a while ago? I was telling what happened to us last night. We was watching your video. You was in about the dog barking. So here my sister and I are sitting watching the video that you was in, and she said, "Are you hearing that dog?" I said, "It's your dog." I said, "That's Luna, your dog." She says, "Oh my God, she's outside." Yeah. So she and runs back here to the back door. Then she runs to the front door, and she's yelling and screaming. I'm around here looking around for the dog, and come to find out the barking was coming off the TV, and the video we was watching, the microphone had picked up the dog barking. And it's coming over surround sound.
Yeah, there was one night there was one night I remember that live that the dog was barking. Boy, she was raising Cain. I remember that night. I think I was in that live when that happened.
One time we had my dog Theo was sick. My dog was laying on the floor and he was whining. And I picked him up, and he just would not quit whining. He was just whining. Come to find out, he had eaten 4 Hershey's Kisses chocolate, and he was suffering bad. He's still alive. It didn't kill him, but I found when he pooped up the aluminum foil around those Hershey's, the Kisses, he ate the candy, the aluminum and everything. Yeah. He loves chocolate, but he didn't.
Oh, I bet he was. I bet he was.
Yeah. So he told me that the vet said that he will recover. He said if they're going to if it's going to kill him, it'll happen really quick. It's a kidney failure thing that they go through with, and the transition is really quick. Yeah. Within hours, they can die. And just from a small amount of chocolate, then they can eat a whole chocolate bar and not even get sick. It all depends on where their body is at.
Yeah, I was going to say it probably depends on how old they are.
Yeah. It's called adrenal. No, what is it called? Something to do with the kidneys. Edema. No, they had a name for it. I'm going to tell you this. The name was really expensive.
Oh, when
when he tells you what your dog has got, it's going to be expensive. But
if it's got one of them names, it goes all the way across the top of a paper, you're in trouble.
We brought my little dog up here last year. That's right. I brought my dog up here, and it was a herd dog, and his name was Tanner. Tanner had a ruptured navel, and my sister sees that, and she says, "Oh my God, we got to get it to the vet." I go, "Joyce, we've had it to the vet," and she said, "No, that thing is going to rupture," and so we had to end up taking it to the vet. Oh my God, have you ever had your dog have a surgery? So we got our
Oh,
dog
yeah.
fixed. Take the dog back to Alabama to our vet, and he takes the stitches out and everything. Shortly after that, my sister's dog had to have, I believe, a hip surgery, $3,000 to have a little tendon redone. So she jumped off the couch and hurt herself. Well, buddy, let me while it's quiet, let me go ahead and say good morning to you. You go over and check out Sick. Make sure he's all right. He's without power. But
yeah, that's. I know he's going through some tough stuff right now. But yeah, Mac, I'll holler at you. Somebody will probably be live here in a little while. I'll holler at you sometime in a little bit.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Moto and Robin and Progzilla.
Y'all
have a good day.
I'm gonna bring the live down. And you say, let me see who all's in here. I haven't even looked at. I see. Moto.
It was Moto, Frog, 2-4. Robin was in here.
Okay, I don't see Robin, but I do see. He may be up there. Let me scan up the page here. I don't know who all's in here. Yeah, there at 9.
I'm showing at the top. There's 4.
Yeah, I see one here. Robin is on the 8:35.
That's Progzilla just said later. So yeah. All right, Mac, I'm gonna back up out of here, brother. I'll holler at you here in a little bit.
Well, you guys have a great day. Listen, if I don't get a chance to get back on the air, I'm gonna try to. Maybe Thanksgiving Day. I want to wish each and every one of you a really good Thanksgiving. And if you go traveling, be safe. And I want to see all of you when I get back home. And you guys, everybody that's in here, whoever's left, no, I didn't get the chance to speak to many of them because I was busy talking. But God bless.
Right.
And thank you, T-Bone, for joining me this morning.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Yep. Yeah, man. I'll talk to you later, Mac. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Holler at you in a little bit.